So today I'm going to show you how to preserve your cherries in the freezer. It's super easy, a little time consuming because cherries are so small and a pit needs to be removed from each one of these. But I'm going to show you how I do this. I don't have too much here. This is the very end of my cherries. These several here on top of this colander got frozen. These were picked yesterday, and the refrigerator these were in just decided to do that, but they will be okay. So first step, make sure that you have something dark on, or get an apron on, so you don't want any cherry juice staining your clothing. I happen to have black today, so that's perfect. And we're going to submerge these in a big old sink of cold water. So here you go. Here's my water. Here's my cherries. I'm going to put them right in. And we're just going to kind of let these hang out here a while. Now you will notice right away certain cherries will float. These are cherries that are definitely bad. See? Also some leaves and maybe some bugs and other things are going to float. We will filter through all that. So let's get them all in and give them a little mix around. And we are going to let these sit here a while because there are things on the cherries that kind of need to dissolve with the water a little and become at one with the water so we can drain them away. So this isn't just like a quick splash. I'm going to leave them in here for probably about 10 minutes. Then we will do a second wash on these, actually possibly a third. We'll gauge that by how our water looks. But as those are soaking, let's talk about what I'm going to be using here. So this is the Norpro Deluxe Cherry Stoner. Now this is a vintage item. This has been in my family for many years. My mother used this exact cherry stoner when I was a child. I do know Norpro still makes a cherry stoner. I believe they have made some improvements to it and some little switch ups, but I'm still using this one. It works really well for me. I'm not going to replace it until I need to. So something like this is a lot quicker than a handheld stoner, though you can use a handheld. It's just going to take longer. So when the cherries are freshly picked and you pour them in the cold water, they very quickly warm the water up. In this case, because my cherries were refrigerated and some of them a little frozen, my water is very cold right now. And that's okay. The second wash, it won't get quite as cold. You can kind of see probably the water is getting a little more cloudy. There's more debris floating in it. And so what we're going to do, the very first thing I do is I skim off the top items. I'm going to put them in this container here. This is going to be for my chickens. Now sometimes the ones that are floating, you can't quite see something wrong with them. They might just have a little bit of a blemish, but there's generally something wrong with them. More or less so. You can see this one has a hole in it. This one had a split. There it is. See that? And leaves. Okay, now when I'm finished doing this, I am going to then take a strainer and scoop out all my other cherries into the strainer. There's the water after the first rinse. You can see it's a little brown. There's debris. Here's my cherries. Here's my cherries for my chickens. And I'm going to drain this, rinse off the sink well, and repeat. Now, removing the cherries from the second rinse, and you can probably see my water looks a lot better. I don't think I'm going to need to do a third, but we will reevaluate for sure here at the end. And you'll see there are stems on some of these and there are not stems on others, and that is okay. I will handle that as I'm stoning the cherries. And there's my water after the second rinse. You can tell it is much, much better. Here's my cherries. I think we're ready to go. Here I have everything set up. Now sometimes I sit to do this, sometimes I stand. We've already froze like 68 cups of pitted cherries. So this is not very much in comparison to that. I'm just gonna stand to get this done. But here's the Norpro Stoner all set up, ready to go. It requires a shallow bowl, so this is actually one of our dishes. I have a measuring cup here ready. I have the scraps, the pits the stones will go to the chickens, and they will come down here, and we will get started. You can see here I have the hopper filled up, but I don't have it like real full here to the front. And the reason for that, I know you want to do that, you think hopper, yeah, I should fill it up, but you actually need to watch pretty closely what you're doing and what's happening with the cherries, and you kind of need to feed in one at a time. And this is a time that I kind of look over the cherries. I also remove the stems when I put them in the hopper. So now as I push down on this handle, it's going to take the stone out of this cherry down in here. And then the cherry directly behind it, this one, is going to roll in. And that next cherry needs to be in position when this first cherry drops off of the little, when it drops off of this, because it needs that height from the cherry behind it to roll on out. So let me get this set up so you can see here. Now I need to be watching a couple different things. I need to be kind of keeping an eye on the hopper situation and the feeding. I need to be paying attention that I have a cherry coming out. I also need to be paying attention that a pit does go down into this little chamber here. So I've got to kind of watch all those things. Plus I have to watch the height of this and my pit compartment, my stone compartment. I have to make sure that doesn't overflow, because then the mechanism will not work appropriately. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to push down all the way. Did you hear that pit or the stone? There it is. I'm going to lift up. I'm going to make sure this second cherry goes right in, and out it comes. It's our pitted cherry, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to work on this a while here, and then I will just let you kind of watch the process a little bit. So I thought I recorded the first two loads of the hopper, but I did not. So right now I'm going to re-record it. I'm loading the hopper here, paying attention to not fill it up much towards the front end of it, and any cherries that have stems I'm just going to remove. I'm looking for any damaged fruit at this time. Okay, so I think we're ready to go here. Got a little jam up. And you can probably see my pits dropping. Yep, there they go. Cherries coming out. I'm eyeing up the cherries as I'm filling them through. Paying attention to them coming out. Now generally I can get about 2 loads of the hopper. Oops, didn't have another cherry down in place, so that one didn't roll out. Generally I can get about 2 loads of the hopper per emptying of this canister of the stones. And we're going to fill it up again. So I like to freeze my cherries in 4-cup increments. Now, you could freeze them however you like. I freeze them kind of in a mass, so I can't really separate them too easily. So the reason I do 4 cups is because 4 cups is perfect for a pie. 4 cups is also perfect for a cherry crisp that I make. And if I want to make jelly, you know, in the future or something, I can just pull the frozen fruit out. It's no problem to make jelly with frozen fruit or jam. It's washed, the stones are removed, and it's good to go. Now, I believe that you could just freeze these individually on a cookie sheet and then put them in a bag. However, the thing with that is they start to produce a lot of juice as they are being pitted. So let me show you here. You'll see. I'm going to pour these into my measuring cup, and you'll see. Oop! See the juice dripping off of there? When you freeze them on a cookie sheet, you're going to lose some of that juice. And the juice, you don't want to lose it. So that's why I freeze them in 4-cup increments. So we're almost to 4 cups. We need a little bit more, and then we'll have a batch of cherries. That would be enough to make a pie or a crisp, or I can pour it out and do other things with it later. Okay, so now my stone container is full. You can see it fills up pretty quickly. These cherries happen to have a larger stone than my other cherries do. And I'm just going to put this in my container for my chickens. They will pick at them and enjoy them. And then I just slide this back in and go back to it. And I think now I have the 4 cups that I need. So let's add this in. Yep, that's perfect. So I just use a Ziploc freezer bag. Generally I like to use gallons. Sometimes I use quart, but I do prefer gallon. It's just so much easier to get them in. And I just very simply put them in. Ziploc brand, I feel like the zippers are really secure. I like that. I try to get as much air out as I can. I don't want to crush the fruit too much. These particular cherries are really nice, and they would make, they'd be really nice for like a tart or something. I don't want to crush them. They are going to lose some shape with freezing and thawing. And there you have it. They're ready for the freezer. Now what I do when I freeze these, I kind of lay them about, not really stack them all up on top of each other to begin with. Once they're frozen, I do stack them on top of each other. And then I just pull them out when I'm ready to use them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful to you. And I'll be back again soon.